shows live. If y'all remember, we used to live stream them on YouTube and X. We may go back to that one day, but if we would have live streamed this one, we would have been about 12 minutes late. The good brother E pops on about 8 minutes after the time we said we were going to pod. My brother said, "My bad, y'all. I couldn't find my computer." Who the hell loses a computer, brother?
Hey, you know where it was?
Where was it?
On my nightstand charging.
So you didn't lose it, right?
I didn't know I put it there either.
God
Maybe
bless,
you didn't
man.
put it there.
No, actually, when I went to go pick it up, I was like, "Oh, I do remember putting it there."
Shake my head.
My guy said, I couldn't find my computer. That's a new one. I got a question for y'all. I just thought about it actually right before the podcast. If wrestling was 100% shoot, all right, so everything we see is real, what would be your current favorite storyline? If wrestling was 100% real.
Low hanging fruit. I probably would still go with maybe Seth and CM Punk right now.
Okay. With the intro of Roman being back?
Yeah, that's extra. I just think that the tension is so thick between the two of them that this is where it bleeds into reality and into make believe. Would make a make believe story even more believable because there is some truth into it. This is, to me, with or without Roman, I still would feel maybe just Seth and Punk themselves probably my hypest right now.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and give spoilers now because I told the fam earlier today. I don't know if I'm coming or going. Told the family earlier. My wife said, "Hey, I lectured my wife like, hey, you know, when I come in the house and you see me, we need to greet each other. We need to, you know, show some affection." She was like, "E, like I saw you an hour ago," and I said hello and we kissed and embraced. And I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the store. I'll be right back." You don't remember that? I'm like, "Oh, that did happen, right?" So it's been a week or so for your boy. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this off now because I don't know if I'm gonna remember to say anything about it if the time comes, right? So I know it's on my mind now, so I can go ahead and say it. For me, talking about storylines, it might be Bianca, Jade, and Naomi, and primarily because my girl Naomi did a damn thing I saw outside of her I never expected to see, and that to me seemed like, you know, look, people are really dramatic nowadays and really weird. That seemed like some shit that I could see on the street, like right now, like that, like a coworker beef. I feel like I could see two women going at each other about something similarly. Maybe not because one of them pushed them through a window or something like that, but I could see them going back and forth. And the realism of that exchange between, you know, two friends and one caught in the middle really resonated with me. So that's my little feud or storyline that I'm really engaged in right now.
I think that's mine too. If wrestling was 100% real, if a friend pushed another friend off of a damn wherever they was at onto the car, and the other friend took the spot and they became champions, all that, I think that's mine. I think my second one would maybe be, but then like, unless you're talking about some witchcraft, like hell type stuff, I was gonna go with like Rock and Cody, but when he went to the whole selling your soul, it's like, you took that part out. Having Cena with him would be kind of cool. But we got something on all three of those, so let's get to the show. Let's get to this thing. And my apologies for everyone who was waiting to hear this on Wednesday. This will be dropping on Thursday on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You will find us on Thursday. We're going to try to make sure that we get them out on Wednesdays, but I just wasn't available this week. So my apologies to you guys. A couple of you guys hit me up and was like, where the hell the pod at? Sorry. You got it on Thursday, baby. We'll make it up to y'all with some awesome content. So this is episode 191 of the TFW podcast. Rhodesia reminded me like I don't see the damn episode numbers. That's on me. We are 9 away from 200 episodes. So we got to figure that out. Yes. We got to like time it and look at, I guess we only do one show a week. So it's 9 weeks from now, right? We'll be episode 200. It'll be 9 weeks away. We got to figure something out. That's a big milestone.
Yeah. I think we
So
should have like a straight up party. I think it should just be full of a whole bunch of tomfoolery, us acting crazy.
You know what? Maybe that'd be one for sure. We like do a live stream on. You know what I mean? We do it on YouTube, do it on X. Figure out the comments on X to get that to work so people can comment. Because 9 weeks from now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would be May 13th or May 14th. One of the two. So we still got like 2 months, but it's gonna be here before we know it. So episode 191, the best kept secret in wrestling podcast. We are Three the Hard Way. You guys know that. I am Matt. I am your favorite talker out in these wrestling streets. I am joined by that beautiful
Rhodesia.
woman over there. There you go.
So I could pop up on the camera.
She got it. Scoot back. Scoot back. See?
I took my glasses off.
You
so
need a
can
damn
see.
seatbelt. That's what you need. You need a seatbelt so you can just chill out.
I'm trying to read my notes and I don't have my glasses on.
Fuck them notes. Keep telling you that. We got our guy Eshaun who don't know if he coming or going. So just lock in, brothers. Lock in for these next however long this show's gonna be. And then
45 minutes.
Yeah, right. All right. What else? Shout out to the freaks out there. Shout out to everybody who supports. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. I already brought up YouTube. Y'all know the deal. We are looking to get to 1,000 subscribers. The march to 1,000 is on. Tell a friend, tell a family member, do all that kind of stuff. But we appreciate you guys' support. So, is the top story Punk, Seth, and Roman right now?
It has to be.
My
man came up in there, just everybody can get it. We got to start there. That is the leading story.
All those folks online, and I don't know if they were trolling or not. I don't think they were. I think they meant it. I think they thought they were serious. They were talking last week, 2 weeks ago. Roman's not needed for this WrestleMania build. We don't need Roman. Roman Reigns is always needed for big shows. And that energy switched quick when the Tribal Chief came back. So let's, I guess we start with the actual main event. I didn't think Raw was the best in, before that main event. I thought it was some good things. I really enjoyed the Chad Gable interaction. Because it was not Chad Gable under the mask. That was confirmed. It was not. And then we saw it backstage. So that was not Chad Gable. So that'd be fun to see where that plays itself out. But I thought that was cool. I thought the women's promo segment was also cool. I thought that
cool like in a just a standard basic way?
Yeah, just like it was cool. Fun? Yeah, like I thought it was cool. Like I thought it made me personally want to see Rhea and Bianca one-on-one more than anything else. That was number one. I think I thought it didn't make EO look the best. Like not in we got a podcast and we got to break this down. This is just talking shit, just regular conversation. This is not a deep dive of that promo. But just watching it, I'm like, damn, they really didn't make EO look the best in that. She getting pushed and then she smacked back. But then she threw a temper tantrum and then she walked out. And then the segment was over. So nobody really looked great. I thought Bianca looked pretty good. I still think that her story arc is going where it needs to go in regards to maybe if she doesn't go heel, I still think she may be a heel, but she's about to have I think significant edge to her character for a little bit. Even if you see how she's been tweeting, completely different energy. And I love it. So they got 6 weeks or whatever it is to fan the flames on that. But just the show overall, I thought was just a little flat. Main event, though, more than made up for it. I thought the main event was excellent. To me, it just goes back to two pros being pros, right? When you watch them in a steel cage match, and even just the layers of storytelling in that cage match. The match starts with basically both of them having a chance to win, and they don't want to win. And by the end of the match, neither one of them can win, and they want to win. They hit so many of their specials and finishers, and it didn't matter. And a lot of times, I kind of don't enjoy the finisher kick out. But in this one, it worked and it made sense because of the history, because of everything that was in it. I thought it was great. I also wonder if we would have gotten blood, but I think there's in New York, I think there's a no blading rule. So they could have did it hard way, but they probably didn't want to open up that can of worms. But I thought the match was great. I thought it lived up to a main event in Madison Square Garden. I thought it lived up to CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And I think Punk is showing that he's one of the better wrestlers at getting the best out of his opponents. He did it with Drew. He's doing it with Seth. What do you guys think of the match itself?
Okay, so not talking about what happened toward the end, but the match itself I thought was actually really solid. I think it might have been even Punk and I forgot who it was when he first came back to WWE. I think he was in a cage match, and it was just how effortless it looks when he is in there throwing people, Irish whipping people. And it's not like, okay, he's this super strong guy, so he's gonna just body somebody else. It's just a matter of how maybe flawless it was, how flawless it is, and how rhythmic, if that's a word, it is. Oh, I'm bringing back my Rhodesians.
It's been a while.
Rhythmic, whatever. The flow of it, and then getting the mileage out of just running into the cage and then bouncing off of it and selling that. Like, it takes such great skill to me, I feel, to be able to have a veteran to keep it to where people are excited to watch the match and not look away. And it's just these simple moves, but it tells so much of a story. And what I mean by the effortless, not that, again, Seth is this little puny person compared to him. No, I'm just saying just the rhythm between them dancing in the ring. These two brothers probably really do not like each other on a personal level, but can respect each other on a professional level. Just make that match look so good. So for me, I thought Raw was actually pretty solid overall. I was actually pretty entertained with Raw by comparison to SmackDown. Just, again, the time-wise, 2+ hours versus 3 hours. But before we got what we got at the end, that was absolutely worthy, like you said, for MSG main event. It could have been like even a Saturday night's main event type thing. It was fitting for them. And halfway through that match, I'm like, nobody can leave tonight. Like, no one can win. And I am absolutely not against the false finish after false finish after false finish. Irritates me after a while, but it didn't, because again, you got these two guys in there who's professional veterans who know how to make me feel something, and I'm on the edge of my seat every false finish that there is. But at that point, before even all the multiple false finishes, I'm like, the two of them can't walk out of here. Like, somebody's going to have to throw in a towel for one or both of them. I'm like, there's no way. That could have also been like a last man standing match in my mind. And then we saw what we got. I did not think Roman was coming at all.
You didn't listen to the pod last week when I said Roman was coming?
But in my mind, I didn't. Okay. I didn't even think about it.
Got it.
That match was fine. It was fine. So that's a wrestling match for people who like wrestling matches. That's why you go to watch it, right? But goddamn, what's it going to take to put these dudes down for a 3 count? It's not taking your foot and smashing their head into the ground, because they can just kick out of that shit in 3. Like, right? Not a 10 count. 3 counts, right? Multiple finish after finish. At this point, I don't think anybody is gonna get pinned at this point. I got totally immune after like the 3rd or 4th one. I'm like, oh, that's what this is gonna be about. It's gonna kick out multiple finish. Like, right. So like in this night, going forward, I know that Seth and CM Punk, you're gonna need at least 10 finishes. Like, right. So when I see any near finish, I'm not falling for it, because they can kick out anything. These are Superman. It's Superman. Like, I hate that shit. Like, I can be an old man. Like, where's the cloud? Give it to me. Like, I just don't. Screaming. That's just like when you watch some things. Cause if we gonna talk about AEW, let's talk about WWE. Just because it's hot don't mean it's right. Okay, when you watch these shows and you see this kind of stuff, you gotta suspend so much disbelief. And when you done had a hard day and you just want to cut your brain off and just watch and enjoy, I can't watch and enjoy seeing dudes getting their head smashed in, they kicking out in 2 and 3 and getting up and putting in offense, man. That just don't jive with me. I just don't like this. I just don't. That's just not for me. If this is what we getting out of these main events, save it for your mama. I want to see EO get smushed in the mouth more. Like I can sit and watch that for 25 more minutes to see these dudes kick out of finish after finish after finish. That just wasn't for me. I know everybody loved this match, right? And they loved all the near finishes. That's because, like, look, we're used to accepting that these dudes are going to hit each other as hard as they can, and they can bounce out of it at any point. But like, damn, if we're gonna get a WrestleMania, we're going to 3-way. Like who? Like what's going to finish that match?
A roll up.
It can't be a Roman Spear. It can't be that weak ass Roman Spear. At this point, Roman probably has probably the 3rd or 4th best spear in the company. To be honest with you, so I don't want to see.
Bromberg got number 1, right?
Oh, he got number 1 by a delta in the business. 2? I like not in the company. I like Bobby Lashley's. I like that little turn, that little flip he do.
See, oh man, you know what's funny? He makes it look good with the flip, but he barely hits the guy. He barely touches the person. Yeah. Like he puts his sting on it. I like it. He puts his sting on it. But even who did I just watch do a spear? And I was like, you got to stop that. And it looked okay, but I'm just like,
I like Jay's spear better than Roman.
Jay's got a good one.
His finish.
's got a good one now. Yeah, Jay's got a good one now. Yeah,
because he hits him and he kind of does this clap back, and it looks like he going at his whole body. Yeah, like Roman at this point, his spear is barely better than Edge's. Edge's guy has one of the worst finishes.
No, you mean Cope. Cope. And we're gonna talk about that match too. I don't know, Eve, you saw it. I'll run it down really quick if you didn't when we get to AEW.
No, I couldn't get that far, man. Like when I'm like, this shit's still on. But yeah, man, like WrestleMania, I don't know what's gonna take these dudes down, man.
So
if
then
we saw this match.
So then for that match, and I think that's a great take. I don't agree, but I think it's a great take. Their rivalry didn't add for you to say, oh, that makes sense why they're kicking out because they're so determined not to lose. You took it just more of, I'm overseeing them kick out of everything.
Does the rivalry make their heads not absorb into the ground being kicked in? Does the knee not hit the skull? Does the rivalry give them like a force field around their head? They can just kick out in 3 and keep going? I want to see more realistic spots than someone continuously to kick out of high impact moves that should kill somebody. Just a couple of times, okay. Like Seth's curb stump, I think they just call it the stump now, right? Because somebody, I think legit got killed for real in real life, right, with that shit. But that's a devastating ass move. Mm-hmm. And to see someone kick out of it so many times, I don't like that people using it as like a setup move now.
Transition spot.
Like a signature.
Man, like the stump is probably like one of the more that's a realistically DDT is too, but you can hurt somebody. But the stump is a impactful ass move to see, and then even the GTS, right?
See, I was gonna say that's the tough one.
Falling, you man, these are some moves that can maim a dude, right? And they just kicking out of it, man. I get the. They don't want to give up and they don't want to pin, but the body can only take the body. Look, I'll tell you right now, I think part of my fatigue is that I'm doing 100 a day push-up challenge, and we're doing it for 90 days straight. So we doing 100 push-ups every day for 90 days. Man, look, on this 3rd day, my rotor cup, I can't put hey,
biceps lock up.
The pushes ain't going up, y'all. My body is tired. Yeah, man. I did one. I started at number 2. My body's shaking. My ass is in the air, man. I can't get down there.
That's a sound bite right there.
Hell yeah.
My body's shaking and my ass is in the air. Let's go.
Hey, Eric, click that up. Click that up and put that on X.
My ass is in the air. When you do that's when somebody doing bad push-ups. Cause they whole ass be contorted in the air like you about to do a twerk or something like that, man. I couldn't get down there, man.
You on day 3? You going to day 90?
After a while. Oh yeah, my old brother, man. Look
with that, brother.
Look, but you know what I'm saying? Your body gives out after a while.
Okay,
so to sit and watch these matches,
get on your knees, do push-ups on your knees.
Man, you can't do that. I might as well not even do them when I get on the knees.
Yeah, do half and half. Do 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what other people think. Of course, y'all leave them in the comments and let us know. I get what you're saying for sure. I didn't have an issue with it because my first thought after it may have been like the third curb stomp or the third GTS. What I said was, oh, this is their last match for a long time, one-on-one. That's why they're able to do that, because we're not going to have to worry about it again. I hope the triple threat match does not end in a roll up, but I can see that. But I also can see, because it's a different situation, right? So you could easily see somebody losing to one GTS after taking a spear combo, or one curb stomp that turns into a spear that goes into a GTS. Like they're going to play around with that. But I was okay with it in that particular situation because of the history they had in the match. But I do see what you're saying. I would love to hear what.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. After I stopped watching the match after a while, y'all.
So did you see Roman?
No, like it was on. I was doing something else. I'm like, all right, this is what they gonna do, right? I just wait for the finish. And all of a sudden, I turn my head, and here come Roman. I'm like, oh, okay, now business about to pick up.
And business picked up.
It sure did.
Roman's took them both out. I love the way they did it. Of course, he does his thing, lays both of them out, and then Punk and Heyman in the middle of the ring, holding each other, crying. That was interesting.
My Lord.
Yeah,
and Roman was like, instead of Roman like catching fill-ins on the outside, although we know he caught fill-ins on the inside, no, he went in there like, all right, well then you can get it too, without hesitation.
But he owed him anyway. Remember, because he eliminated him from the Rumble, so he owed him. Sure. That had to happen. But Roman comes back, he stands tall. Mm-hmm. So we know now we are going to probably get this triple threat match. Is there anything you guys want to talk about, particular with that, before we get to a comment from Eternal?
The potential triple way, you mean?
No. Just Roman's return. Is there anything you want to talk about with just that part?
No, just to kind of echo on the whole. I probably could have seen myself being one of those people that said Roman's not needed, Roman's not needed, Roman's not needed, but then like eating my words, because what I saw on Raw, I'm like, how silly of me to think that we didn't need Roman. Like, just the business picks up to the next level. You talking about, you have Seth and CM Punk in the ring in a cage match. So you could already imagine like the excitement level and the aura of those two guys going in, trying to settle a feud that they had for 10 years. Every time I see a preview on it, which I think throughout the whole show, that's why I did like Raw. They had like video packages that build up to it. Every week they've been feuding now for longer and longer. They've been feuding now for 10 years at this point. I thought he was only gone for like 7 years, but I digress. Roman comes out and business is just like, silly me to whoever thought that, no, we didn't need Roman. Damn, it's
he's
electric.
Yeah,
like when the way I felt with like The Rock back in the day, when how he was the most electrifying, like that is the new version in 2025 of that pro wrestler. It's, like, if I was a wrestler, like I couldn't even compare. Like, you know how 50 said, these I'm supposed to beef with? Like, Roman has to have that feeling like, these are the people I got to beef with. Like, I know he's running this. I know he's trying to build this company and lay a foundation for the decades to come. But like, y'all not on my level, like at all. And he's not being cocky or arrogant about it. Y'all just not on my level. And that was proof to me on Raw.
You know, I love me some Roman. You know, you guys made me, talk bad about Roman for a lot of years, because you guys, your continuous hate on Cody Rhodes. I had to kind of play devil's advocate.
No, I'm a Cody lover.
Made me smear Roman Reigns' name unnecessarily. He was a victim because of all the hate on this show for one man for no damn reason. Family man at that too. Hate it. Love Roman. He was the best part of that entire match for me after them 25 finishes I saw. But I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna go as far as saying that Roman isn't needed. That's some weird shit to say. I think that just like Cody last year, you find a spot for that dude. He over. But you find a spot for Roman, a big spot for Roman, right? I don't know. I think I would rather see a match that's going to end things between CM Punk and Seth one-on-one? What kind of match can they come up with that if 1,000 finishers isn't it, what's going to be it? Like, I want to see, like, what can those brilliant minds come up with to have this match? Maybe it's loser leaves town or brand or something match. I would rather see them finishing their story, right, than whatever triple way match we're going to have for WrestleMania. I'm sure they're going to continue to heat up because, like, those are two hot guys. They got my guy Seth. CM Punk is almost back to being CM Punk. And Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. We don't get to see him, but when we do, it's always special. So we know it's going to be a good match. But for me, I would rather see that one-on-one match, that what do they call those matches, Matt? I won't call it burning, but that's not it.
Blow off?
The blow off. I want to see a huge blow off at WrestleMania. Right, to where after Mania, we don't see one of them dudes for months.
So if you did that, what would you do with Roman? If you did that, taking what we saw already on Raw. So he came out, speared both of them. What do you do with Roman if you still, in your world, go with Seth and Punk one final time?
You know, so at this point, I probably would have did something with Damien. I'm sorry, not Damien. I would have ex-Damien, and I would have came up with like a program with Drew and Roman.
They dropped that.
Big time.
I would love to know kind of, well, they probably had to shuffle some things around, but they completely dropped that storyline. Remember, he was the bloodline hunter?
Mm-hmm.
He was hunting them. He beat Jimmy.
There's
lost
history.
to Jay in the roll up. That shit was over. It was it.
There's history. There's something they could have did. And this is just off the top. They could have made, that's, to me, Drew is a credible guy that can possibly beat a Roman Reigns at a WrestleMania, right? You can believe in a world that Drew can beat that man, right? So it's not like it'd be a one-sided match. I'd rather see that.
But
Okay.
I think everybody would agree, especially here on a TFW pod, that we wouldn't want a triple A. Like, I've always felt like the next time Roman and Seth is together, it needs to be the two of them by themselves. Like, I would not want a triple A at all. And I don't know if this is going to steal from your thunder from the question that you might be asking next, but I don't want a triple A.
Yeah, but he's saying he wants Punk and Seth again. I think we have been in, give us one of the one-on-one matches, but we know it's not going to be Seth and Punk because they just did it the second time now. So they're 1-1. They initially got to work a third match somewhere down the line, you would think, as the blow-off. But for me, the money match would have been Seth and Roman. That's the one. I mean, you could even win Roman and Punk. That's the other one too. But the triple threat is what it is. I think the match is still going to be good. They got 6 weeks or whatever, 7 weeks to hype it up. Eternal's question was, or his statement, it wasn't a question. He said, the more I think about it, there's an argument to be had about which three-way should main event night one. And I am sure he's talking Roman, Punk, Seth, and then Io, Bianca, and Rhea.
I'm assuming then the two of them would be main eventing both nights. Like it was going to end.
No, it'd be Cena and Cody got night two on lock. That's night two.
Right. So then that means that the question is then who's going to main event out of those two triple A's?
Yeah, he's saying
his statement maybe.
The more he thinks about it, there's an argument to be had. Because when it first happened on Raw, I was like, okay, well, now we got our night one main event. And then, and actually, Eternal, we were going back and forth on Monday. I think he said, like, so then what do you do with, all right, no, he said, yeah, I think maybe you do Jay and Gunther as the co-main. I said, as much as I am against it, because we talked about it here probably about, almost a month ago now, I think. I said, you may need to open up with Gunther and Jay. And I would do it to a way of, I'm hoping that we don't get 6 more weeks of Gunther just tapping Jay out. Because that's going to, because it's already wearing thin for me.
It's already wearing thin a little bit. That's one of my notes I have right here.
Yeah, and that was what I talked about just a couple weeks ago when I said they were leaning, in my opinion, into that underdog. I can't win a little too much. This is what I meant. But maybe you do something like the last time we see, in that go home show for Raw, Gunther lays Jay out, right? Like worse than he's been laid out so far. and Mania starts after the pyro, whatever you do, with Jay demanding the match starts now. Like, I want him right now, and he heads to the ring. And maybe that's how you just kind of what they did, similar to Brock and Seth.
Yeah.
That year, I think it was in New York, where they started with that, where Seth won the championship. Because I wouldn't put that match as like the second to last match. I wouldn't go Jay Gunther and then the triple threat match if it's going to be Punk, Roman, and Seth. So I'm like, maybe you go with the opener. You do that, and then you finish with the triple threat match. And then I got to thinking, especially after he sent this, there's an argument to be made that the women could main event. If we listen to what Triple H said at the press conference 2 weeks ago, he said it's going to be up to the talent, right? Whatever feud gets hot enough to main event, that's what's going to main event. I'm sure he probably has one of them earmarked, or maybe not. Maybe that was 100% legit of what he thought. But I do think there's a world where that triple threat women's match could have enough steam behind it to where they can main event. And then if you do that, it's also twofold. Because CM Punk's entire storyline for WrestleMania has been, I need to main event WrestleMania. If he main events WrestleMania without winning the Rumble and without winning the Chamber, the storyline doesn't make sense. Right? Like that, that doesn't make sense. You main event it in spite of losing all the way up to WrestleMania. So I don't think...
So like he didn't earn it or something? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, like you lost every opportunity, and you lost every opportunity because of said people that now you're about to be in a feud with. Then you look at it and say, okay, maybe this is where the favor comes into play. I still don't know just how the favor has him main eventing in that triple threat match. You know, that's up to them to figure that out. But maybe the good thing is to have the women main event night one, and you do Roman, Punk, and Seth as the co-main. It would be crazy as hell to see Roman not in the last match in night one, but he's eventually can't main event these two nights when he doesn't have a title. It's got to stop eventually. Maybe this is the year for it to stop.
I'm gonna say this, and I didn't hear it. I just kind of saw the quote on it, and I took a little offense to it. But what H had made that comment about is gonna go to whoever have the hottest feud kind of thing. And although I know that's true, and I don't know that that's what he's saying to the writers in the room, I shouldn't have to hear that, because this is a predetermined entertainment, and you should be able to write for that. I just took a little bit of offense to that. Like, well, then build the woman better to where we are going to be main event, quote unquote, worthy. Like, I took offense to that, but I understand where he's saying, because I've been on here before and said, if to me, you're not the most engaging match I want to watch and be a part of, then you don't deserve to be main eventing, like the final match of the night. Cause again, we know that you could have two co-main events each night, but to end the show, it comes a level of like, it transcends feelings, like as far as feelings of the talent. Like, no, who's the most popular right now? Who's gonna sell this? Who are people buying the pay-per-view for or the PLE for? But I did take a little offense to it. Did either one of you take any offense to it?
No, he's shaking his head. No, I didn't, because he's talking about the performances. And next we're gonna talk about, or I want to talk about after we get done with this, the Bianca and Naomi segment. I also want to talk about the Cody promo for SmackDown. Holy hell. Those two segments on SmackDown. We got to bring back the TFW moment of the week. That would have been mine. Those two promos.
Both?
That was, God, man, fuck. Those were like ridiculous promos. But they went out there and executed. Because remember, they got bullet points now. There are not scripts like there used to be in WWE. So if they would have went out there and not had a good performance, you still put in a position to win. And you just didn't nail it. Either you overacted, you were over dramatic, or you weren't dramatic enough, or whatever the case may be.
That's
but they
fair.
went out there and absolutely smoked that promo. That has everybody talking. Right? So kind of the same thing with what we're going to see probably for the next 6 weeks or so. Is you got your segment, go out there and get over. And that's much more. Now, if Vince would have said this 10, 12 years ago, you could take offense to it. Because it's like, there's no shot in hell of anybody outside of whoever your top 4 people were at the time to have a chance to main event in WrestleMania. I think now it's a little different.
Yeah, well, Vince wasn't writing for nobody else other than the main event, right?
The big guys.
Yep.
So, like, he couldn't say that, and he wouldn't, right? However, like with the women, I think they're doing a really good job, especially with the main event women. We're going to get to the SmackDown, of course. Phenomenal job. I thought that Rhea and Bianca did a really good job on Raw. I don't know if I like what they're doing with EO. I don't honestly know why she's there. And I think that might be part of the storyline, right? She, compared to the other 2 women, she's smaller in stature. I don't think from a personality and from an aura perspective, and I love EO almost. She's like one of my wrestling crushes. But when you got Rhea and Bianca standing across from each other, that's what I want to see. Like, right, we can do the EO thing at another event, maybe not WrestleMania. I can't think of the last time we saw Bianca and Rhea, because to me, in NXT, was it 5 years ago? I'm like, that's the future. Those 2 women for different reasons. So for me as a fan, I was more interested in seeing that as a one-on-one, but we're getting a triple threat. But as far as going back to the question at hand, I mean, I guess we're assuming we're taking Gunther and Jey Uso out of off the board, because I know that another company, a lot of fans were saying that, hey, that World Championship match shouldn't end the pay-per-view. But in history, the championship should end, unless you got 2. But you got 2 nights, 2 championships. So theoretically, those championships should end the show, because those are your most over guys fighting for the biggest prize on both brands in the company. Like, why wouldn't those championships be the main event? Like, that's what that championship is. It's the main event.
Women. Don't forget about the women, though. You got 4 titles total that could vie for the main event, if you want to keep the mentality of title matches should end the show.
Let's just be honest. The heavyweight championship is the main event. The women's championship is getting there, like, right? And it very well could have gotten there had they built, I think, Rhea and Bianca properly, right? Almost like, I mean, maybe from, because we're Black, like the Bianca and Mercedes match meant something to me. Like, man, I like, that needs to be the main event. But that triple threat match right now, throwing EO in there, that doesn't supersede like standard procedure to me.
I agree. You mean like the one-on-one match would be a bigger match than the triple threat match?
One-on-one match, especially if it was built better. Because right now, we're going to see, and it's nothing wrong with that, because we talked about we want stories with these women. Like, right, we need, but, Bianca, she has 2 things going. So her attention is diverted in a way, right? And maybe that could be a story that goes into this match. So there's layers to it.
Yeah.
But to me, and I know we talk about Jay and, the Gunther like story. Is it
Gunther?
Yeah, we getting there, right? We getting there. But is that story? Is it going to be tiring? I think to a high level fan like us, right, that looks for the hidden message and everything, maybe so. But this is a basic story that they're telling, right? And I think that the average fan, the casual fan who's not on, I met a couple guys at the job and started getting to the pod, and I'm like, hey, did you watch Raw? Oh no, I ain't watched it yet. So I'm too late. Hey, did you watch Raw? Oh no, I ain't got around to it yet. But I'm looking forward to it. Like, hey, did you know that Rhea lost the championship? She lost the championship? These are, they're excited about the show, but they're not really watching like that.
Right.
Like, right? But they know the big stuff and the big stars. So when you talk about Jey Uso, like, they not watching as intently and as heavily as we are. Superficial, simple, easy to understand stories are just fine for those fans, and it's going to be a lot of them in attendance, right? So you got to think about it. If you're going to have 2 nights, and we might get a controversial ending on night 2. On night 1, what better way to end that show than have Jey Uso yeeting the crowd off on WrestleMania. Like, I can't see an ending from a throwaway. Honestly, to me, there's big stars in this match, but it's just there's like shit at stake.
Don't do it.
But toilet paper, right?
Don't do it.
Seth,
don't do
Roman,
it.
and CM
Don't
Punk.
I knew you. Don't
Why?
Do it.
It's just a match.
It is
a match.
They do have to figure out.
We have just matches on Raw and SmackDown every damn week, right? It's just a match. Don't mean shit. Why would that main event? A match that has nothing at stake.
Correct.
Nothing.
They got to figure that out. No, you're right. 100% you're right. But maybe that's also the way for them not to main event is because there is nothing
say this too.
Stake.
And then y'all take over the three-way women match. They already building the champion as inconsequential. I don't know if I said the damn word right. Like, they smushing the chick out of the screen half the damn time. So they're building the champion as like she's nothing compared to the other two challengers.
But I do
that's gonna y'all that's potential closeout of a WrestleMania night.
If WrestleMania was next week, no. But we got a whole nother month. But I do think that promo helped in what we're talking about. What that promo probably was, as much as I just said like it was fine, right? That was probably what a lot of people thought. Not your hardcores. Your hardcores was living, eating, sleeping, breathing, adding EO to that match to make it a triple threat. And they got what they wanted. And I love EO. So I think EO should be in that match because it may have been a disservice to try to just go Rhea and Bianca with only a 6-week build. And then we complain that they wasted it. That if they would have built it longer, it easily could have been a night one main event. Hell, that match, if we didn't have Cena and Cody, it could probably be a night 2 main event. So that's also another reason that I think maybe they're making it a triple threat, because they may even know, like, hey, we got something with, of course, Rhea and Bianca we know can be the biggest match of a WrestleMania weekend. Let's hold off on that. Now it's just going to be interesting to see if they can somehow wait a whole year. I mean, they're doing stadium shows all the time. So maybe that's what we get at SummerSlam. They got 2 nights of SummerSlam. We keep talking about that. But maybe that's the kind of the thought about that promo, is because if we are looking at it like EO's the throwaway, the story is Rhea and Bianca. Because at this point, that is the story. Because the reason why Rhea lost her title was because of Bianca. So at this point, we still got a month left of build. That is the story. We get what we got on Monday, and now we can take off on them figuring out what this whole thing looks like. So to wrap this conversation, so we can move on to Bianca and Naomi's performance on SmackDown. If you got to book it right now, only based off of what you've seen on TV, what is the main event of night 1 between those 3 matches? Gunther and Jay, or the 2 triple threat matches?
Sheesh. I'm going to have to say it. It has to end with the yeeting. Now, I love how you booked Jay getting stumped out, or at some point being eliminated from the whole board, right? He's gone, he's done. And Mania starts, and like, I was there. I was on every single word that you said, like, okay, I'm there for it. That would probably be the only possible way I would feel deep down inside that they would do Jay justice, if that's how they told that story. But of those 3, it would have to be yeeting to end the show. Number 2 would be the women's triple way. And then again, Roman, you've main evented the last 8 or 9 WrestleManias. I think you proved your point. You know, I just would hate to be match 2 or match 3 to have to follow the yeeting.
Yep, good point. I mean, you know, I think you mentioned maybe opening the show with that, man. That's a, you know, that's like
I know. Yeah,
that's like, hey, it's 10 o'clock. This is the TFW podcast. That's like getting head and coming early, right? I'm good for the rest of the night.
He said, I'm done.
I'm good.
I'm in the notes.
Give me something to drink and give me a pillow.
Bring one of those back. Ah, man. All right.
You didn't answer.
For me, it would be if I'm only based off of what they've shown me so far on television up to this point right now. I'm only going off of what they have shown me up to this point right now.
Spit it out.
It's Roman, Punk, and Seth. It is. I said I'm only going off of what they've shown me. We still got 6 weeks left.
I know.
The second one I'm only going off of what they've shown me right now. The women's triple threat match. And the third one is Jay and Gunther. Because Jay and Gunther is not being billed as a WrestleMania main event. In the history of WrestleMania main events, and maybe I'll have to go back and see. I'm sure I'm not wrong in this. Outside of Daniel Bryan, which we've already compared to this kind of run for Jay, where he had to work 2 matches
in one night
at 30. A main event of WrestleMania has never been booked so lopsided.
Okay, that's fair. Yep, because usually...
Once again, we still got 6 weeks, right? Or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't been.
Yep.
Because what they are showing us is Jay can't beat Gunther. Jay is out to prove he can, but he keeps getting his ass kicked by Gunther. That doesn't smell like WrestleMania main event. And that was my problem a couple weeks ago when I said I feel like they're playing the underdog a little too much. Because to me, that doesn't sell money match. If we were to take away Jey Uso's entrance of the yeeting, I don't think you guys would say that would have been the main event. We only know because of how over he is and how we got to yeet. And that's going to be an incredible look of 60,000 people to East Point. Busted your load already. How the hell? And now I'm supposed to watch another 3 hours of wrestling after we did what we came to do. Talking about just a storyline. But we got 6 weeks.
But just one quick thing. We saw the underdog story week after week after week after week at 40. Hell, we saw it at 39 and we saw it at 40.
40
now he
40,
won.
40.
Talking about Cody every single week.
Cody thought he could win. The majority of fans thought he could win. You just didn't know how he was going to win. That's a difference. He wasn't getting stomped out and laid out every single week
by
and
one
had
person
no shot.
Versus
multiple
people.
Because remember, he almost had Roman beat if it wasn't for Solo the year before. Jay ain't never almost had Gunther beat.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, the amount of business this man is doing with merch, with participation, with fanfare. Like, why would you not do that? Like, right? Like, look, like this man is selling too much merchandise, selling way too much merchandise. You push that man, regardless. If that's the biggest problems that we as hardcore fans have, we overthink it. We make it way too complicated. People like him, like, right? People like him. If it wasn't working, he wouldn't get the reaction. Yes, people yeet, but they enjoy every single thing about this man's act. And when he talking, when he walking, when he on the screen, and look, yeeting and doing the wave is one thing, but to go spend your money day after day, week after week on this man's merch. He has new shirts almost every other week. He's doing the John Cena thing, which is super smart. Like, right? Like, that says something. That means that you have the post. And if you got it, you got to let that man run with it. Right? And so, look, cartoons have a simplistic storyline, but kids love it. Kids love it. We loved G.I. Joe back in the day. They wasn't doing Shakespeare in that mug.
That's
like, right? We tuned in every single damn week, and we was buying the Joes, man. We was buying the Transformers, man. It's easy money. You got to run with it.
And to cap this combo, talk about a hell of a problem to have. We wasn't having these conversations years ago. You knew what the main event for WrestleMania was 3 months before WrestleMania, and it was no doubt on what other match, unless somebody got hurt. And now here we are sitting here having a conversation a month before about there are 3 potential matches for night one that can main event WrestleMania. So kudos to WWE. They're doing a good job. So Bianca and Naomi, I'll just say my piece real quick and I'll throw it to you guys. I was blown away. I got goosebumps probably 2 or 3 times in that promo. And I also want to talk about the Cody promo. I probably got same 2 or 3 times where I got the goosebumps in Cody's promo. I was telling Matt, only wrestling as a art form can you bring real life pieces to a storyline and it matters. to the performance. Like, if Jack Nicholson stubbed his toe in real life and we're watching him acting in a movie and either he stubs his toe in the movie and, says something about it, or he just says something about his toe, nobody will give a damn. Like, we don't give a damn about your toe. But the Bianca and Naomi segment worked so well because, damn, was that not real? Like, it almost bothered me a little bit seeing everybody call it acting on social media.
Yeah.
Yes, there's acting with it, but that was real, raw emotion on both of their sides. I'm not really sure where Bianca pulled from to be able to do that. I know where Trinity's was from. All she had to do is
her whole career.
Completely think about every single time in her career where she had the rug put up under her. Think about with her and Sasha Banks and how she felt mistreated, disrespected. The fans turned on them and turned on her, right? Like, there was a lot for her to pull from. Hell, this is my first storyline where I can literally legit sink my teeth into something. And I've been here for how many years she's been here for. So she had a lot she could pull from. And damn, they... Like, I am so proud of them. I am proud of them. Like, I know them personally and I have their phone number. Like, that is how much I thought they did there's not even to me a word for how well that came across. WWE did a fantastic job also with the camera work, how they shot it, where they shot it. But just like once again, just the raw emotion, like, you selfish bitch, like everything they did. That's how you do it. Like, that is what we have talked about. Now, granted, we're talking about two high level performers, right? We know who Bianca is, generational talent. I'm happy to see Naomi get to spread her wings, but this is what we have talked about a long time on this show, is giving the women an opportunity to showcase what they showcase, because a lot was riding to me on that segment. If somehow that segment didn't go right, I don't think there's anybody in WWE would go with the "I told you so." Hey, told you it wouldn't work. Hey, told you. I don't think they have anybody like that. But maybe perception of fans could have been that.
For sure.
And I saw a little bit on social media about like overacting, and that went away really, really quick. So once again, I don't know if they were just saying that just to try to get a rise out of people. But everything I saw, on Saturday, Sunday was nothing but complimentary of all three of them. Jay too, she did her part. She came in with the physicality. I was kind of surprised though that she laid her out again, because like, all right, that's twice now. Of course, Naomi's going to have to lay her out, right? And maybe that's what cements the heel turn. If she jumps Jay from behind and lays her out, she's got to get back. This has to be the WrestleMania match that we get with those two. But just to see those women perform the way they did, put it all out there. I don't know when's the last time we've seen. Have we seen that level of emotion from a women's promo where you got crying, like legit tears and snot? And have we seen that?
Nope. And when you were talking about the two of them, one, Bianca's so personable. She's so likable. And the way that she's always been, the taking the earrings off, culturally, like that's a lot of times how like we talk and we respond to each other. So when I'm hearing her in the ring talking to Naomi, not addressing that question right away and answering it just point blank, because she had to give her two pieces. I need you, Bianca, to understand where I'm coming from. And she's like, girl, just tell me. Like, just even that in her voice, like that. I felt that before. Not saying I've ever been in a situation like my girl jumping another girl, but it was so personable and relatable. So I wonder, those people who were on the internet saying that they was overacting, maybe just because that's just not how their conversations go when they are having kind of a back and forth. But it felt like so much love between the two of them, and betrayal, and that they're making themselves vulnerable in front of everybody. It truly felt like it was two people having a conversation and nobody else was in the room with them. And they found something that was so beautiful. And like you said, I don't think anybody would have been like, if Naomi bombed it, I'm just saying Naomi in this example, Naomi bombed it, that people would say, oh, I told you so. But I am surprised on what we got out of Naomi. So I will always acknowledge her, give her flowers for how resilient she's been and how much she's just been a constant in professional wrestling as a woman, and so proud of her for that. But yeah, when I saw her performance alone, I'm like, yo, I did not expect this at all. So now you got Bianca going against somebody else who's bringing it up in another level of intensity and passion that we are able to hear. Like, I never felt that way about a woman's back and forth ever. Now, could it be because they both black? Maybe, sure. But I've just never ever experienced anything like that on watching pro wrestling.
Wonderful segment. And Naomi, man, what an amazing performance. I didn't know she had this in her. It just it gave me almost goosebumps to see her perform this way. You know, she's been in the company, damn, I don't know. She hasn't been there as long as Natty, but she's been there for a long time. I know she had that stint away for a little while. But we've seen pretty much one side of Naomi. Now, I know that she was heel with Team Bad, and I thought she did pretty good with that. But this is another level. Her performance just was on point, and it was a very realistic conversation, right? Because Bianca wants to answer. She wants to know, hey, did you do it? And Naomi is doing everything in the world other than answering her question, right? Mm-hmm. She's trying to give logical, stories and etc. Right. And she just goes, on and on, just will not answer the question, which is, again, as a viewer, you like, damn.
Oh, she must have
did it.
She did that shit. Right? After the second time, you like, oh, she did that shit.
Right. You thinking it's and so your mind is, again, this is what I love about wrestling entertainment. My mind's cutting off now. Now I'm just watching the story, right? Because things are kind of making sense. And then I'm actually kind of filling in blanks as I'm watching, the show. I'm like, oh yeah, definitely she did. And then I'm like, oh damn, she did it. Right? Oh man, I can't believe she said that. And then just her overall tone, delivery, and the messaging, it just seemed like, all right, I don't remember if Bianca called Naomi Trinity.
She did. She called her Trin. Yeah. She was like, yeah. She's like, stop. Like, did you do it?
Because I don't know who Trinity is, right? Maybe let's just say that's a different character, right, than Naomi. But that didn't seem like Naomi speaking in that ring on Friday. Right, just with her cadence, her tone, her delivery. That's just not the same woman that I've seen for 20 years or however long she's been on TV. That seemed like a different person having a conversation with Bianca, and I thought it just was phenomenal. Did Bianca kind of laid on a little bit towards the end, with the crying? That's tough though. Right, when you got to kind of get the tears going. And and that kind of thing, that's difficult if you've never had to do it. It's very difficult to do it in the moment. But I felt like he was fine, right? And then you see, it's almost like you're watching Naomi, the deterioration of character, right? Now she's begging her, right? So this who you thought that Naomi was, that vision of her is just deteriorating right before your eyes, right? Now she's begging, now she's screaming, right? Now she's cursing, calling out a name, right? You damn, who is this woman in the ring right now, right? That's not the person that I know, right? And now it's almost like as a viewer, Bianca is representing you as the viewer, because now she's crying damn, this ain't my girl. Who is this?
And she was right. I mean, let's talk about that part. Of course, she didn't need to throw it on a fucking car, but she said, "I did it for you."
She was
in
holding
every
down.
heel turn. You got to have elements of the truth because you have to understand why they did it. And her reasoning made perfect sense. I did this for you, and now you're gonna turn your back on me. And of course, Bianca's right, because we're like, "What do you mean, dude? You almost stopped her career for what?" We never had a conversation about Jade is holding me back and you need to do something about Jade. That's never been a thing. And I thought the other part I thought that was just so fantastic when it came to the emotion they showed was just how defeated Bianca looked when she left the ring. And then when Naomi said, I should have pushed her harder, I laughed. I was like, oh my God, she's going all the way. And then for her to keep walking, B, you ungrateful bitch. And then for Bianca to do that slow turn and look at the ring just like, I can't believe you just said that. And when Jade came out and that look Bianca had, she just looked so defeated. And I was like, my God, man, the range of emotions to be able to just to do that when you haven't shown you can do it, right? Like if next time they do that, say if we get another segment in 3 or 4 weeks, we won't feel the same way. Because we're like, oh, we seen that you guys have been able to do it. It's still going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, right? But you'll be like, damn, they did it again. The same way, it's funny, E, I didn't bring it up last week. Right after Elimination Chamber, Matt, Rhodesia and I was sitting here watching after the John Cena heel turn. We were having conversations. I was kind of just talking about how WWE has really kind of mastered these segments like once a year. You know, and of course, I brought up WrestleMania 40 with the Avengers piece. I brought up the Royal Rumble when it was KO and Roman, and we got like the 40 minutes when Sammy turned on the Bloodline. And I said, for me, like, take out the Cena heel turn and what that goes to down the line. Like, oh, we thought we'd never see it. Take that out. Just in the moment, I said that the Sammy Bloodline Roman KO piece from that Royal Rumble was just as impactful on me because I remember us getting on the pod right after and we were all speechless. We didn't even know what to say. Like, we legit, I'm sure if we go back right now and listen, we probably rambled for like the first 5 minutes. We were just like, I don't even know where to begin because we hadn't seen anything like that yet. We hadn't seen a 40-minute angle after a main event of a major pay-per-view. Now, not that it's par for the course, but now we see a John Cena promo and we'd be like, hey, we can go pod right now if we needed to. We can break it down and talk about it because we're a little equipped to being able to, like, NXT takeovers back in the day. You saw that little logo at the bottom. Show ain't over. You better keep watching. They gonna throw something. The first time that happened, you was like, holy shit. And they showed the logo and they kept going. Afterwards, you kind of expected it. It still hit, but it wasn't the same like the first. I feel like that's the way it is with this storylines. I think there's so many more layers for them to go to because we still really haven't heard from Jade. Now, that may be smart because there's no way Jade's at a point where she could pull off something like that. I don't even think it'd even be close. So maybe she can just cut her regular wrestling promo. You know, we'll see. Maybe it's a sit down. Maybe that's the way to go with it. But I would be worried about her being able to follow that performance with words, with a live mic, like in the middle of the ring. I think a sit down is much better.
She doesn't really need to, though. But my only concern when I watch Jade, her demeanor, and she's angry. And she's beating Train's ass every week almost now at this point, right? Look, I know she done took the woman out for months and, you know, smashed her head through a windshield and whatnot. But she's so damn strong. Look, number one, she's beautiful. Like, man, she came out there looking the way she's looking on that SmackDown. But I don't know if I feel sorry for her. She's not like the damsel in distress.
Talk about Jade, right?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't know. Man, I think Trini's doing a great job. I think Bianca's doing a great job. I wonder if Bianca ends up turning and then, you know, Naomi and Bianca become like a heel duo. But I don't know if Jay is that strong of a face, man. She just seems such like a natural heel to me. Like when she came down, her mannerisms and body language just screams ultra heel to me. To where I don't know if she's the right type of baby face for this type of role. We'll see though.
And that's why I was so surprised she put hands on Naomi again on Friday. I thought Naomi would take a powder leave, and then now you have the crowd wanting to see, now that she said it's her, you want her to get her hands on her. That's why I was kind of surprised by that. Because to your point, why would you have sympathy for Jade? She got her comeback now twice.
Twice.
So that's why, we got to see how that plays out with what Naomi does next. But fantastic work. Kudos to all those women involved. Absolutely loved it. One of the best segments in terms, for me, one of the best promo segments outside of anything Bloodline related in a very, very long time. So we get that. And then Mr. Cody Rhodes. More goosebumps. Being in Philly and him, I was so impressed with him because for the second year now, just like Monday, we got the John Cena heel turn, so he has his motivation. He has what to talk about. But a lot of Cody's promos over the last couple years has been with people that is not in the building. Roman's not there a lot, so the lead up to 39 and 40, he was kind of selling the match on his own a little bit. The Roman would come back every 3 or 4 weeks, say his piece, and then Cody would react. So we got Cody reacting on SmackDown to John Cena's heel turn. And you could tell the end of that promo, he knew that okay, I'm ending with this, right? I'm going to hit the line. You want some, come against it, I think is how he finished it. Yep, I got that part. Everything up to that, before that was real life for Cody. Him talking about being in Philly. And that was where, years ago, just everything he connected. My dad, who was one of the coolest guys in the world, was scared that he wasn't over enough in Philadelphia, so he put Road Warrior paint on his face to get over. Like, all of that goes back to what I was saying earlier about, like, the Jack Nicholson equation. Like, I don't know if that's real or not. I'm going to assume it is, right? But we understand it. We've been watching long enough. If you didn't know who Dusty was and you were just watching the promo, you say, oh, that's really cool that his dad did that. But us who have been watching long enough to remember Dusty, to remember that, it's like, for him to connect that to his feud right now, that is some awesome work. But his promo, he's another one. The emotion he had in that promo. And I'm like, damn, man, like, this is what this game is about. This is what this game is about. And then for him to have to cut another promo on Monday, which I thought the promo was unnecessary. I get it. You're in the Garden. You got to have Cody. But we just heard you talk Friday. And, he had to do a whole promo on Monday about an Instagram post from Cena, which also shows how good he is that he's able to go out there and cut a, whatever it was, 7-minute promo about an Instagram post that Cena did. He didn't give him, much to work with. But it seems like I've been saying a lot in the last few months about Cody, like, that was his best promo. That was his best promo. Friday's promo for me was maybe his most emotionally connected promo that he's done. It wasn't a rah-rah speech, come with me so we can win, I need to finish my story. It was more of, like, hurt a little bit. It was kind of all that put together. So I go from the women where I'm like, damn, I can't get too much better. And then I go to from Cody's promo and I'm like, all right, they just put on a fucking masterclass of how to put words in together and emote and speak into a microphone and get people ready to run through a damn brick wall for you.
Agreed. I will say everything that you said about Cody, 100% right. But just like how I'm getting fatigued with Gunther jumping Jay every week, I know he's your champion. And I know that people spend a lot of money to see him at these shows and in the hopes to be able to see him on these shows. But might I say, I can see myself saying that Cody is going to get stale for me. If I see him twice a week talking, we know that he can connect with the crowd. We know that he pulls from emotion. We know that already. We've seen some of his best work. But to me, I just don't want, it's something that's beautiful about it, that he has the ability to articulate his words, get his emotions out with a speech impediment, might I add. But after a while, to me, it becomes stale. So I just really hope that they kind of like watch that. But again, like Eve people that he knows at work, they're watching it whenever they can watch wrestling, and hey, they might absolutely love it. But for me, who's someone who is, despite what y'all say, watch wrestling all the time, it kind of becomes irritating to me.
There it is. I was waiting for one of y'all, because like it was too much roses and smell goods talking about Cody. I know one of y'all had to come in and say something negative. But hey, God damn it, we haven't had the conversation. We talk about like the WrestleMania build. We got like the damn things like in a month, and like these matches are still formulating. WrestleMania, big show in wrestling, is still kind of being put together. A month, and it's going to be in a month now, right? Cody's going to be in the main event probably on night 2, and his antagonists are 2 people that are part-time. They're actually beyond part-time. Like John Cena, like, right, this had the biggest ass heel turn, and we ain't seen him. We don't know when we gonna see him. Like Rock, we don't know when he gonna pop up on there. So Cody got some heavy lifting. So they got a match. They got, we got like a month, you know what I'm saying, to go. So if you need somebody to be able to promote this match and keep it in fans' mind, because it is going on last. So they got to do something. So like that's part of the problem there as well. But look, Cody's doing his thing. Good promo. Actually, I thought that probably his promo on SmackDown was one of his better promos in some time. That's the energy and the passion that he showed on the microphone. Is what brought a lot of fans to the dance. Because his promos probably in the past like 6 months become very, I don't say one-dimensional wouldn't be the right word, but he comes out and says a few things, almost like he's introducing the show, or he's like the guest speaker or something like that, and then somebody comes out and cuts him off, and they start talking, right? That seems to be kind of like what Cody's promos have been for the most part, but this one was a very emotional, engaged promo. They got the work cut out with this feud, because I don't know what the availability of John Cena is going to be. We definitely know what Rock's going to be. So Cody's going to be out there as a one-man show quite often, replying to Instagram and X posts, you know what I'm saying, to hype this thing up. So it is what it is.
You said there it is. When Rhodesia got done burying Cody, you see she got exposed this past weekend on X.
Unnecessary exposed.
Did you see that, E?
What happened?
I could get exposed, but let me be exposed for some like real legit stuff.
You didn't see that, E? Mimi exposed her.
What was it? Oh,
so Mimi and shout out to Mimi, friend of the show. We love her at Mimi on X, the wrestling chick. They were talking. And I didn't even see it until I saw Rhodesia make a comment. It was something about, so Mimi, we were during AEW Revolution. And I think Mimi said, like, is it worth watching? Rhodesia's like, we're watching it in our household. And then she's like, yeah, but y'all also are Cody fans. Mimi hates Cody. Mimi has a personal vendetta against that man. I think that man could solve world hunger. And Mimi would still be like, you still
should have did
shit.
It sooner, right?
You had a chance to do that 3 years ago. So Rhodesia's like, no, I'm not a fan yet of Cody. Like, I'm saying, like, he's getting there. I posted a picture of her and Cody together.
Can't stand Matt.
From a few years ago.
Matt's such a snitch.
Like,
he's the true definition of a snitch,
that's interesting.
actually. The real definition of a snitch.
I mean, Rhodesia types laugh out loud with straight faces.
Ooh,
so,
boy, she did. She did it again a couple days ago.
Yeah,
LMAO! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Nothing. I was like,
look,
I just rolled over.
I'm gonna go as far as tell you this, man. Doing this show, I'm like, goddamn, I don't think I knew. I don't know Rhodesia for 35 years. I was like, I don't think I knew a goddamn thing about this woman. I'm learning something new about this woman every damn show.
You learn even more. Imagine if like we talked like way more than wrestling, you would know her even more.
Lord.
You would know her even more.
I'm like, man, like this is this sweet woman, and smiling face. Not saying that she's not, but goddamn, it's another whole another side I never knew was there. Goddamn it.
So that was fun this weekend. Last thing on Cody, did you see the report came out that Rock wanted him to turn heel? And Cody said no.
Uncle Dave
that piece
tweeted about it, right?
Yeah, Starman also said that it was determined that night to turn John Cena heel. It was determined at Elimination Chamber to turn John Cena heel. It was supposed to happen at WrestleMania, but it was determined that night that John Cena was going to go heel at Elimination Chamber. So we were just going to fly Rock in for no reason. So we come on, dude. No.
Okay, but
no
to his point, but listen, but to his
no
all fairness, he said it at the press conference, right? That he's going to give him a look. The look could have been like, be good guy, be bad guy.
No Starman. Swing and miss. I get it from Cody's perspective for sure. I'm sure he's like, hey, we still got a long runway of being a baby face. Or also, that's one I would love to know the reason why he said no. Was it that? Was it, hey, what's next then after WrestleMania? If we do this heel thing together? I just wonder. I wonder what
could it
is.
have been just H saying, hey, no, I'm the head writer here. I appreciate what you're doing, what you're saying, but I see something different here.
Well, the word was Cody turned it down.
Oh, okay.
Cody said no. Yeah, that's the word.
So what wasn't
Cody
also the word that
Triple H?
Yeah, wasn't Triple H kind of against it too? Is what
I'm
the
sure
word
he was.
They probably already talked. They already talked all night. Like, listen, we can't do this. How are we going to set this up? Like, we're not going to do this.
But I do think
the word was it was Rock's idea, right?
Oh, of course it was. Yeah. But I don't think it's malice. I think we said it. Rock loves Cody. Legit loves Cody. I don't think there's any malice into it. I think he was like, this would be fantastic. I think this would be great. Let's do it. Man, I think they were just like, no, man.
Hey, I love The Rock, man. I think we're starting to see his creative decisions. I think we're starting to see why, like the Black Adam thing didn't work out. Because he had some ideas. They're not all good, man. Because he thought it was great for him to, hijack the Finish Your Story WrestleMania. Like, right, he thought that was a great idea. The following year, he wants to turn the man heel. Like, Rock, brother, just... You're great at a lot of things, man. I don't think creative.
Book is not one.
Yeah, I think,
but it's cool though because we got two great things out of the pivots. We got the final boss as a character, which is awesome, which we wouldn't have had if that match would have went down last year, and we got the Cena moment, which is one of the biggest moments like in wrestling history. So
now we'll tell you what they should do. They should hold out with Cody for another 2 years. Hold out for Cody another 2 years. And I think they should build some kind of story with Roman and Cody. And then finally Cody turns on Roman, becomes that Archer heel, right? And then they build to that third match finally, right? Babyface Roman versus Archer heel Cody with my girl Brandy Rose back.
You gotta stop.
Oh yeah, Brandy's back. Just imagine the heat that those two would generate, man. Like, look, these dudes are still relatively young for wrestling, right? Because you got AJ Styles, damn near wrestling to his 50s, looking the way he looked. Like, I know Cody's going to be probably in his early 40s by then, probably Roman the same, but they're still going to look pretty similar, right? Because they're in awesome shape.
Oh, in 2 years, absolutely.
Yeah. So, man, I could see a huge match with those two.
Before we get to Revolution, unless y'all got something else from Raw or SmackDown, I got something I want to bring up. I say I don't talk much about wrestlers' personal lives unless they put it out there. I got one I got to talk about.
Oh, Lord. Is what I think you talk about?
Eddy Thorpe. Eddy Thorpe and Dakota Kai are together. They're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Aww.
He put it out there on social media. I guess they've been together for a while now. Eddy Thorpe is one of them. He's another one that they're going to have to put the jersey in the rafters when it's all said and done.
But it's in it. Not but, because again, sorry to that guy for what I was about to say about him. But it's the NXT guys. They are doing something down there in NXT. Something.
Yeah,
a lot of things. Yeah, they're doing a lot of things down there. But the parking lots is no good, but everything else is wonderful. Like, all them dudes coming out NXT, you see who their roster is.
Would you send me yesterday, Rhodesia, when I told you that they were dating? Would you send me?
No, I'm not saying nothing. And do not go on this pod and read from my text thread to you.
AE. I ain't gonna say the one thing she said, but she said that man didn't turn that gay girl straight. I told Rhodesia months ago about Eddy Thorpe. I was like, he got motion, man. Like,
well, shit, you might as well say the other thing then.
No, I mean, that's on you. You had your chance. I gave you an opportunity to be a good podcaster. What'd you do again? Shut the shit down.
No, because that was between the privacy of you and I.
Whatever, man. If it's for good content, guess what? It's always going to be on these airwaves. But yeah, shout out to Eddy Thorpe. Shout out to Eddy Thorpe and Dakota Kai. But yeah, he continues to do that. So good for him. Good for him. I didn't have much on Revolution. I watched it. I enjoyed it. So you guys don't know, I started watching AEW again, or I started watching Dynamite the last 2 weeks, and I've watched it and enjoyed it, So I'm like, of course I'm gonna watch Revolution. Revolution had an incredible card. It was a very good show. Great matches with horrible match placement. And that takes away from a show. Like I'm not here to crap on the show. The matches were great. Every match was at least good outside of one. And then the best was awesome. Right? But I haven't been watching enough to critique, because I'm not even trying to critique. I enjoyed the show. I think if you are a wrestling fan and you want to see some, extreme, violent, good work matches, it's worth watching it. For sure, it's worth watching. But from a show perspective, Tony's got to figure out a way just to set up the matches a little bit better. Because you forget, there's so much thrown at you, you forget what you saw earlier in the night, excuse me. The main event was Mox and Cope, and if anybody out there is touting that match was good, they are shilling for AEW. That match was not good. And they're running it back again next week on Dynamite.
Yeah.
No DQ or no rules or something like that. So my assumption is whatever the original finish was supposed to be at Revolution, they're going to run it next week. Because I don't think that there's no way that was the original finish, especially when you had the final act with Toni Storm and Mariah May, which was left for you on a silver platter to be the main event.
Hey, hold on, Matt. You didn't hear the scuttlebutt that they asked there's a different finish. There's supposed to be more people coming out towards the end of that match, and at the last minute, like, they asked it.
Then that would make sense. That wouldn't help the match. The match wasn't good, especially after everything we saw. The match just wasn't good. But that would make sense then if they had a big angle plan. Because I even said during the night, I'm like, unless there's a major angle plan after this match, the women need the main event. This is a wrong call. I think I tweeted that when the women first made their entrances. But that match was great. The steel cage match with Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher was off the charts. A little much with like Kyle Fletcher licking the blood off the steel cage. That is a little much in some of those spots. But Mercedes had another strong match. Swerve and Ricochet did the damn thing. I mean, the show was really good. The show was really good from a wrestling perspective, but he's got to figure out how to, I know that they don't do like production meetings from the word on the street. They don't do production meetings. And I think they also, if I know before, like they didn't run, past whoever, what they were going to do. It was kind of just, hey, you got this amount of time, go work your match. I think they still have agents, but it wasn't a thing of like, hey, this match is going to have blood. You can't have blood. Like that's what WWE does a lot of times. Like, hey, this match is doing this spot. Don't do that spot because it takes away from it because we've already seen it. So when you see like blood in like 3 matches in a row, or you see kind of like the same high spots, it doesn't have the same feeling to it. But when you have a match that had so much on it, or show that had so much on it, and then you finish with a dud, like Moxley and Colt, and then you actually finish with Swerve jumping from like the crowd onto Moxley, which wasn't needed at all. It was just another thing just to add on to the show. They got to figure it out because it takes away from the show because there's just so much thrown at you. It would be like, honestly, WWE running, I mean, then this is being facetious, but it would be like WWE running that men's elimination chamber match in the middle of the show, having John Cena turn heel, and then have more matches after that. And it's just like,
come on, it wasn't that bad.
I said, I'm being facetious, but
but he was letting the world know I am now coming back into the title reign. That into that.
Oh no, I'm talking about just the match placement.
Oh, okay. I thought
you should have finished with
the crowd.
you finished with the women's match. That was the match majority of people were all about. Finish with that.
I must stay here and be a 100% hypocrite. I wholeheartedly believe your main shows, whether it's pay-per-view, PLE, your final match that we see has to be a title match. I absolutely will die on a cross for that. But there was two outside of the women's match. There was still two other matches that I felt was even more meaningful to end the show than what we got out of Cope and Moxley.
Which two were those?
I like the Ricochet and I like Ospreay.
Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, and I think TK made a comment. I think they still do the press conferences after. I'm guessing that's where the quote came from. He was like, I think he said like the last 4 matches could have ended the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, they could have, but like, oh, the other one was Kenny and Takeshita.
Yeah,
that was the other one that was within that 4. Did you watch any of the show?
I watched most of. I had it on from start to finish. Was I paying attention to half of it? Is the thing. I didn't see the main event at all. I looked up at the time and I said, "Oh hell no!" And I knew what it was.
Your time, right?
Oh yeah, it's damn. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this shit. Not with y'all. I'm not fucking with y'all. It's Sunday. I gotta go to work. If y'all gonna give me these 10-hour pay-per-views, man, y'all better put them shits on a Friday or Saturday night, man. I'm not doing it on Sunday, man. Y'all gotta fix that shit. And I knew it was John Moxley and Edge, and I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not staying up for this. I'm out. But no, I saw. I had most of the show on. I know there's a lot of talk about, the match placement, and a lot of people said that women's match should have went last. But again, the World Heavyweight Championship is their top prize. It just is what it is. And so we always talk down on AEW for not doing the right things, right? They're trying to be too conventional, and sometimes they need to just keep it simple. You end your show, what's your top prize? And you think about box art, like, right, you got John Moxley and you got Edge. Like, right, from a money drawing perspective, those are 2 stars. Now, I know, like, look, I love Toni Storm. I think she is phenomenal. I think Mariah's done, I think she's been a solid job as champion, right? And I know from the hardcore fan base that they probably looking more forward to that match because as a person who's been watching AEW for the most part over the past couple of months, the Death Rider storyline hasn't been hitting. I don't think that Edge he's been kind of boring in AEW, to be honest with you. It hasn't been hitting that storyline. Toni Storm always hits for me. I think she's phenomenal every time she's on the screen. But, when you're trying to sell pay-per-views, and that's what they're trying to do, they're trying to sell a $50 show on a Sunday, like, right? It looks, you got 2 stars, 2 worldwide stars, right? People know Edge. Like, a lot of them probably know John Moxley. I don't know how many people worldwide outside of the AEW bubble know Mariah May and Toni Storm. It just is what it is. So you will put the 2 biggest stars for the biggest match last. Now, did we know it was going to underperform in that way? You would kind of think on paper where it wouldn't. John Moxley is still, considered a very good wrestler. Like, right? Edge still can go. He still looks great for someone his age, right? You wouldn't think that match would underperform as it did. Now, the storyline has underperformed since day one. The Death Rider story has not been hitting at all.
Mm-mm.
But on paper, I mean, they did the right thing. Now, if you want to say that, hey, I want to put the women's match last, right? because as a company, your hardcore fan base probably has more investment in that match. I think what you do, and I'm not sure if it was WWE that did it or AEW, you make that unsanctioned match, make that a lights out match.
A lights out match.
Like, right? Yeah. So you technically did finish your pay-per-view with the World Championship. Like, right? Mm-hmm. But the last thing that people see is Toni Storm and Mariah May.
Yeah.
Like, right? So you did it kind of the right way, but you also gave fans who are been heavily invested in those two characters in that story its due, and you also kind of put it over because technically that was the finish. And what finish would it have been to see the show fade off? Yep. Like, right, with Toni Storm, embracing Mariah May on the floor, winning the championship, covered in blood. That would have been a great way to close out a show.
That's a moment, right?
So
that's a moment.
That would have been the smarter thing to do, was to make it unsanctioned and have that finish the match, finish itself.
You're right, though. You're right. I didn't think about that. You're right. If somebody's looking, if we're in the business of selling pay-per-views, if somebody is looking, oh, there's a wrestling show on tonight. Who's main eventing? Oh, Jon Moxley and Edge. Oh, I'll buy that. Mm-hmm. So you got that. You're right on that. And like, I just thought, like, watching the show, it was, once again, show was really good. Like, I'm going to watch Dynamite again this week. But when I was watching it, I was like, before I've used the analogy about UFC to AEW. And when I said my analogy back then was their pay-per-view is always going to be great, like UFC, right? Like, you don't have to watch the fight nights. The other UFC would do like 4 or 5 televised events a month. And if you just watch the main pay-per-views, you are probably in good shape. There's not storylines or such. But AEW is a lot like UFC when it comes to like the shows. They're just matches after matches. And like the fight of the night may be the second match on the card. And the third match on the card may be a 5-round banger. The main event may be a 30-second knockout. Like, it's just like the matches just are where they're placed, and what you get from them is typically some good stuff, but maybe it's a dud. And that's kind of how like AEW pay-per-views, or this one in particular, felt to me, was that I think they try to do a good job. Like, they started to show off with MJF and Hangman Adam Page, and by the time that show was over, that match meant nothing because we saw so much. It's a dual-edged sword. You'd rather have that than be like, man, there was only one good match on the card. So like, maybe you don't really have a good answer because everybody goes balls to the wall in their matches on pay-per-view for AEW. But for them, I just wish they could figure out the placement. So when the show is over, you remember the big things that you need to remember.
You remember Swerve jumping off out of the crowd down.
Too much happened for me to remember that.
Look, those shows should be 7 to 10. Period.
Talking about 3 hours?
3 hours. It should start at 6:30 if they want to do a 0 hour. You got 0 hour 6:30 from 7 to 10. That's your runtime, and then that way they can focus on like what the big matches are. Because let's be honest, man. Like Wash Kata, you can put Wash Kata on. And him and Brody King, like, they can be on Collision and they can do that match. Who gives a fuck? Like, they can do that any time of the day. They do big matches. Shit, man. Even I hate to say it, Kenny Omega and Takeshita, good match. That could be on Dynamite. That could be a Dynamite main event. Like, right? You focus on almost kind of like what WWE does. You have like your 4 or 5 big matches. And boom, that's what you're paying for. And if they build it correctly, then it should be fine. Because on paper, you got Edge and Mox. Now, if you watch the product, you know that match is going to suck. Like, if it is, like, there's no investment in the storyline because the storyline sucks. That's why I heard the people, like, I'm not going back to watch it. I'm good. I believe what people say. I don't believe everything I see on X, but I believe what I read about the match to be true. Like, I heard that the fan was kind of dejected after Jon Moxley won again, but they probably look for a title switch. Like, man, if they don't pull the plug on that one, man, sometimes you gotta cut your losses, man. Or
I did enjoy the Christian cash in. I didn't. It sucked because it was a waste of time because he didn't cash in.
They end up losing.
But I really enjoyed the spot of him putting him in the finish. I don't know if you saw that part or not. There was a spot really quick where he had him in a submission move. Yeah, really good spot, really fun spot. But so I did enjoy that part of it. But yeah, it was overall it was a good night of wrestling. I just wish the match placement was there because it should be talked about maybe in a much better light than what it is going to be. It feels like, and I haven't been online much at all since the pay-per-view on Sunday, but it felt like just seeing the temperature really quick Sunday night, it felt like a lot of the conversation when the show was over was just about how bad Mox and Cope was and not MJF and Hangman, not Swerve and Ricochet, not the cage match, and the women should have main evented. That was kind of like the stories I was seeing, opposed to just, man, AEW just put on a fantastic pay-per-view that was worth the money, awesome matches. If you haven't seen it yet, go out of your way to watch it.
Because I think it was worth the money. Well, it's not my money, but
y'all, like I mean, as well, I don't know how much you've been watching though, Rhodesia, but I feel like, all right, at this point, that the Death Rider story hasn't been working, right? It's been mostly negative feedback from their hardcore audience. Because if you're watching AEW, you're probably a hardcore fan, and Correct. You're probably a specific fan of the product. So if the people who are watching are down on it, don't you make an adjustment?
You know what, man? I was thinking that same thing, and then I didn't like Cope ain't the answer. So like for me, it wasn't, oh man, Cope should have won the championship. That wasn't that. But I am starting to feel like, what are they holding it out? I have a feeling they have to be holding it for something. And Swerve is the number one contender. I don't even know if it's for Swerve in April, because that show was April 12th. I think it's a month from today. I don't think it's for Swerve. So now then the question is, like, what are we holding this for? And the only thing that came to my mind was, is it for Bryan Danielson? Because that would put a cap on this story. It all started when they tried to suffocate him to death.
Damn, I forgot about that
pay-per-view.
Right? And they still bring it up too. Like that's what I'm saying. Quickly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because to your point, E, if we are taking this as, look, we don't have our North Star moment, like we're not building to where they're building All In, which is in Texas. That's the stadium show. They should have pivoted on a random Dynamite. It's like nobody's enjoying this storyline.
But what do you do with Danielson if he comes back? I mean, I thought he was going to retire. I mean, you don't give him the championship in transition again, do you?
I wouldn't do that, but I feel like after seeing how they have not transitioned, I kind of feel like because Kenny's got his belt. We know it's gonna be Kenny and Okada at All In for probably the internet. What does he have? The international title.
There are rumors that they're combining those two titles, possibly.
Okay.
They made it official.
I like that. No, I don't think they haven't done it yet, but so like kind of your big dogs are kind of spoken for. Hangman is not in spot for it. I don't think MJF. I think they're doing another tournament that they may have started this week. But great point for a fan base that typically is pro almost everything that they see. For everybody to be down on the Death Riders and Mox's title reign, and for them to not pivot, they got to have a certain spot they're looking at.
Hey, last thing, so we can, before you ride out, y'all. I know did you see Tony Khan's statement on AEW Creative? Why the show have improved?
Oh no, what did he say?
Because he's taking a more active and vigilant approach to creative.
Bye, y'all.
He's more involved now. And so we've seen shows have gotten a lot better because he's more in control of the shows. He feels like in the past, the creative has been too collaborative and he hasn't pushed back as much. Now he's pushing back more and the shows are better for it. This is going back. He said the same shit years ago, right? When he felt like he had to book every damn thing and the shows are better when he runs and he does everything. If that to me ain't poor leadership, right? Where you feel like the only way you can be successful is if you wear every hat for your company. Like that means you're doing a bad job of hiring, fam.
Let me play devil's advocate on this one. You just talked about The Rock and how he's got some bad ideas in your opinion, right? Typically, wrestlers.
Oh, do you think The Rock's been giving them ideas this whole time?
No. Typically, wrestlers don't make the best bookers. Wrestlers that are still doing it now, they don't make the best bookers. You got to have that sounding board. If Tony Khan has been allowing them, like I am sure Moxley, this is Moxley's storyline. I'm sure this is his baby. He's coming up with it. He came up with it. He's going to continue to come up with it. I think this is his thing. So if the majority of the storylines have been coming up by the wrestlers, that would make sense then. Because I can say I've only been watching for the last 2 weeks. I have thoroughly enjoyed the prior 2 weeks of Dynamite. Yeah, there's still one thing or two things that I'm like, why did you do that? Yeah, but that's every show. Like, whatever. If I can get typically what I've been seeing the last 2 weeks from AEW, I'm cool to be watching casually. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that is legit. Maybe if he's like, look, before y'all go out there and do your thing, run it past me first. But something's changed over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I've only been watching for the last 2 weeks. How long would you say the product has gotten better? Or do you think the product's in the same spot it was 6 months ago?
No, well, like again, I think the way I watch the show, since you guys don't force me to watch it and critique it every week.
Wow.
I watch the show casually and it's fine. I think I don't know what, like I think it kind of coincides with the rise of Ricochet, because like Ricochet, and from a character perspective, has been phenomenal, right? So I kind of feel like I started watching the show to see what he's doing, and I will keep the show on, and so other things keep my attention. But I feel like more things keep my attention because there's a lot of things going on the show, and it actually made me think about when I watched that show. I'm like, damn, what happened to Adam Cole and the Kingdom? Like, what them dudes been at? I feel like I haven't seen them in a long time. But digressing, look, man, like it's an easy fix over there. It's a wrestle heavy program. All they need is this simple characters and story just to move forward to get to the actual matches. Like, right? They don't got to be doing what WWE does. They have to just tell decent stories and tell believable stories to get you to a match. Like, I don't know what the fuck they was doing. And I feel like that's for the most part what they've been doing. I think the only thing that hasn't been working is this Death Rider thing, because it's hard to understand and you don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I don't like this dude got this championship in the briefcase. Like,
that doesn't make sense to me.
Like, let me see that title, goddammit.
Yeah, because I don't understand why is it in the briefcase? Like, but you're still defending it. Like, they're just not telling the story of why. But then they'll over-explain that time. It was funny. Last thing, and then we can get out of here. Brandon sent me a text during the show, and it was during Mariah May and Toni Storm. And it's really cool to kind of see. You guys all know Brandon. He's back now in wrestling. He went away for a long time. And it's cool to start seeing him starting to pick up on some of like the detailed things that unless you really watch, you don't see it. So he sent me a text and he's like, do you think AEW announcers tell too much of the story? And I said, yes. He said, explain too much. I said, yes. And they also tell too much of the story. I said, case in point was there was a spot with Mariah and Tony where they go to tape their hands up and then they're going to, put the glass on their hands and then they're going to throw some punches. Before they even showed the glass, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're just starting to tape their hands up. And Nigel McGuinness goes, oh, I know what this is. I've seen this before. And he starts explaining what they're about to do. And I'm like, no, man, like lay out for a second and let them tell that story in the ring. Have them slow down a little bit so the crowd completely gets what's happening, build up that suspense. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because when Brandon sent that to me, I was like, and I told him, I was like, dude, and that's cool that you starting to pick up on that stuff because yeah, that is what I see. That's what it still makes me only watch casually. And even like with Omega and Takeshita, at one point they had to been out of the ring for 2.5 minutes straight. And the same way you felt with the 22 curb stomps and the 36 GTS on Monday, that's how I felt Sunday night. Like I was out of the match after that. I'm like 2.5 minutes and you don't even attempt to break the count. All right. Got it. So yeah. All right. I guess we out of here then, right? hour and 45 minutes. We did it. We did it all. Rhodesia already said she tired. Said she got to cook. I know that's right. He said, let's go home. We go home then. Leave a thumbs up.
All night, y'all.
Like a comment. Interact with us. Do that whole thing. It helps the algorithm. You guys know that. We are everywhere. Talked about that already. We'll be back next week to run down something. Like, I don't know what's happening. It feels like something's happening next week. Is there like a big show next week?
No, but I got something. Maybe. I don't know. But I think we should start asking the listeners and the viewers of the pod, what do they want us to see? Or what do they want to see on our 200th episode? So we can start planning for it.
That's a good one. So let's start with that next week too. Because a lot of people, a lot of times when they listen to pods, they don't listen all the way to the end.
They need to.
But that's just podcast listeners in general.
I'm
there's
here
like
to the end.
There's like a percentage that they don't listen to. I know I don't listen to the majority of podcasts all the way like to the last like minute.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of
Yeah.
mine.
Wow.
Yeah. Like you're right. You're like, we're done, pal. You're done. So yeah, if you are listening, let us know to this point.
Thank you.
What you want to see or hear from us for this 200th episode. And then, like I said, I think we should go live on that one. That'll be a lot of fun. That'd be a whole lot of fun. So we'll talk it out. We'll figure it out. Love you guys. We'll be back next week for more Graps Talk. Holla.